Hi. Some people might think I'm a little bit bonkers because I haven't got one guest today. I've got two guests and I've actually got the same name. So that's even more
Oh, yeah.
confusing. But I've got Helen Kirkblythe and Helen Manson on today from Complex HR, also known for their complex car share shenanigans, which I follow with avid interest. So we're going to be talking today about how much money law firms are losing due to their diabolical HR processes and absent management processes and all that fun stuff. So I know this has been a very eagerly awaited episode. Please introduce yourself, Helen. I'd love to hear your intro.
Oh God, we're going to prepare something. So I'm Helen KB and this is Helen Manson. And despite, you've probably seen car share, as you said, Becky, we do actually know our stuff about HR, and we've been doing HR for 25
a long time.
years, a long
Together
time.
we've been doing
You don't look old enough.
There's a lot of filtering, I think,
going
going on
see
here.
that because we're recording on a phone and we don't look the same.
We actually met at a law firm and we were job sharing. The only downside to the job sharing for us now really is that we were only job sharing 1 day a week. So I would do Monday, Tuesday, and then we'd have Wednesday together, and then Helen would do Thursday, Friday, whatever it was. So we only realised, we thought we got on really well.
You did Thursday, Friday, Christmas. You can't even remember what days you did. Oh my God.
Here we go, everybody.
Yeah, so we thought we got on. We could do most of the time. And then we set up Complex HR. It'll be 8 years in.
Yeah.
Oh, 8 years.
8 years this month.
So we'll be celebrating in style shortly.
That's amazing. So you only actually worked together 1 day a week and you thought everything was going to be completely fine to go into business together?
No, I didn't.
You didn't think it was going to be fine? No.
Okay. It was going to be a challenge working with her full time. And I was right.
Yeah.
We do have like your strengths at different.
But we didn't know that at the time.
But luckily, yeah. So Helen's great with in terms of IT, anything like that.
Well, numbers
and IT,
yeah. And you're
and people, obviously.
Not really sure why she went into HR.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the people side. Helen's extremely good at business development, which is so weird.
It's so weird.
But she's really good at it, which is good because I hate it anyway. Yeah, but she's very, very, very good at it.
Well, that sounds excellent.
I can never do it.
Yes. Okay.
The washer's stopped finally.
The washer's stopped, and now the airplane's going.
Yeah, we were a little bit concerned. We had a washing machine that was due to finish, and then we were going on air, and it was just all happening. So, so when I asked you what we should talk about today, and you said straight away absence management, right? Why is this a thing? Is it a thing right now, or is it always a thing? What's the thing?
Julia, it's obviously there's always been absence in businesses. It has become, I'd say, chronic, or certainly approaching chronic, since 2022, when everyone was having to return to work in the office. So for a couple of years, maybe 1 year, 2 years, 18 months, employees have been able to work from home, possibly. And since then, employers have been trying to get their employees back into the office, and they are not coming back. And as a result, absence has been going up and up and up and up and up, because employees think because they did work at home over that period of time, they should always be allowed to work at home. The problem is although businesses may have survived that very difficult time, very few of them thrived and very few grew. And you can't, certainly law firms, you can't grow, thrive, manage, train, mentor people if they're all remote. They have to get people back into the office, and employees are reluctant to do so. Not all employees. Some employees are reluctant.
I think just to add to that, obviously, since I don't even like to talk about COVID times now, but since
let's not.
etc. Obviously, mental health is on the up. Mm-hmm. So our clients, we specialise in smaller law firms. So I think we've got about 60 to 70% of our clients are law firms, and on a daily basis. Oh my gosh, I'd say about, again, 60% of our queries and questions from clients is on absence, predominantly with people who have got mental health conditions. So, and it's very much how to deal with that, which our business owners struggle with.
Because they're scared. So they get these employees emailing, texting, WhatsApping in the morning, can't come in, I'm stressed. And employers immediately panic, thinking, oh God, they're going to sue me or I don't want to be that employer in the papers saying that employees are stressed, which is a real shame because, first of all, it's just one WhatsApp message. There's no medical evidence to support that WhatsApp message. We'd like to think, certainly our clients look after their employees extremely well. So it would be very surprising for any of our clients' employees to be stressed at work, unless there is a genuine issue with their mental health. And that's the other problem is the issue we've got at the moment with so many people claiming mental health issues is the people who actually have genuine mental health issues are being overlooked because they're the ones that don't shout the loudest. And we do have a massive problem with that people are genuinely very poorly and are not being looked after because employers are being distracted by individuals who potentially could be more easily managed.
I see. And it is a juggling act, I can imagine, between being a sympathetic employer and, wanting to look after your staff. But on the other hand, you do have a business to run and you need staff in order to do
correct.
that. Yeah. Okay. I can understand that.
And it's about, I always remember when we worked in-house, and the best piece of advice the employment lawyer that we were lucky enough to work alongside said was create a paper trail. Create one. So, rather than just had a conversation with so-and-so about their illness, mental health, whatever it may be, then follow that up in an email. You've had that discussion and what action points are going to come from that. Mm-hmm. So we'll have clients call us. Well, actually, it's not normally our clients. It's the ad hoc clients will call us and say they've got so-and-so off. They've been off for 6 weeks. We've just let them be off. We've got the fit now. I'm like, okay, hold on. There are certain steps you can take with bearing in mind a duty of care as an employer, but also to check, what should you be doing to help that person? So there's, first of all, the first point would be to ask for their consent to obtain a GP report. Now, the downside to the GP report is they often just say what the employee wants them to say. You do need to fact check. Is this person genuinely ill? What can we do? Are there any reasonable adjustments which can be made? Which we'll come back to reasonable adjustments in a bit. And then, of course, you've checked what they're off with, what reasonable adjustments, and then you may decide to arrange a meeting with that employee. You don't be afraid, I would say to employers, to contact people when they're off sick. Within reason, you may decide to get an occupational health report. That's another thing you can do. There's loads of great occupational health consultants out there. Obviously, a lot of our clients are smaller businesses. They don't have occupational health in-house, but we can outsource that. We've got so many stories that we have to be careful what we say. Yeah. Trust me, there are some horror stories about people who say they have got something very serious and they haven't got it at all.
Do you remember the photograph of the
leg?
Yeah. Someone sent a photograph of the broken leg, but it was the wrong one.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it happens though. It happens. And like Hannah said, the calls that we get aren't really from our clients, because I know we're biased, but our clients do look after their employees. It's more the ad hoc you're panicked because they've got this employee claiming they've got stress at work and they've got a fit note that says they are stressed at work, and the employer had no idea, up until the Friday, this person was in work, no problem. And they panic when they don't need to panic. When we take those calls, our first question is, well, did you know about this? And they'll say no. I'm like, well, you can't do anything about something you don't know anything about.
Exactly.
It's establishing as well whether the illness they've got is a disability or not, which obviously they're not qualified to do. So you do need to get some information from the GP. Often the GPs won't tell you whether it's a disability. So you've got to look at it in terms of the Equality Act, which is if you have a physical or mental impairment that has a substantial or long-time effect on your ability to carry out your day-to-day duties, that could be classed as a disability. And there are certain illnesses that automatically fall in that. But the mental health thing is really difficult because you have to see does the disability discrimination, would that apply to that illness? It's hard.
Does it have the ability to do that job? Yeah. The other thing we often encourage the initial thing we encourage these individuals to do is inform the person who's just claimed to be off, inform them of how much they're going to be being paid in a very nice way over their period of their absence, because it's unsurprising how many people return when they realise they're not going to get paid for 3 days and then only get SSP on the fourth day. At the moment, that is due to change, possibly, we don't know. But at the moment, if you don't have company sick pay, you are unpaid for the first 3 days and SSP starts on the fourth day. And it is unsurprising how many people are suddenly back in work the next day. And
Yeah,
they
okay.
aren't ill. But what that does is it then frees you up to look after the people who are ill and who do need your help and whose time you do need to spend on to work out reasonable adjustments, because it's often those people who are desperate to get back into work, but they can't because they're not well enough. But employers don't have the time to focus on them. And so we try and distinguish between the two and then help employers get those poorly individuals back to work, because often it helps them, even if it's 1 day a week or a phased return or working from home for a couple of hours every day, whatever works to help them get better.
Yes, I see. So we're talking about poor absence management. So what, in your opinion, would you class as poor absence management? Would it be something like not getting in touch regularly with the employee that's currently off sick? Or how does that work for you guys?
I think so many things. First of all, I have a policy, so it's very clear and you can be very consistent with everyone. You're not just making up. Have a policy, a good written policy, and follow it up. It's like we said, having someone off sick and never contact them, just they're off for 6 weeks, and then he comes back in the office. Have conversations, because employees want to know what the situation is, and they're more likely to come back into the office after a prolonged absence if you have been in contact and you have discussed what reasonable adjustments might be in place. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, sometimes when we get ad hoc calls and they say, and it is, well, this person's been off for 28 weeks now and their SST's run out. Well, why have they been off for 28 weeks? I don't know. And there's been no contact.
Wow. Yeah.
That happens a lot. So we have stages when you get in touch with individuals who are off on prolonged absence, depending on what they're off with, obviously. The most important thing is keep in touch with them, not harass them, and certainly not work related, but do you have any updates? Is there anything we can do? Those sorts of things. Not here's a case of files and can you get on with it? Not work related. But it's really important to stay in touch from as soon as you know their absence.
And have a plan.
And have a plan to get them back into work and make sure that they know that's your intention. Your intention as an employer is to get them back into work.
Reasonable adjustments is often what people struggle with, because there's no actual definition about what is reasonable. So what is reasonable for a larger employer might not be reasonable for a smaller employer in terms of cost, etc. There's a great scheme called Access to Work, which
we've got. It's on our blog, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not put one on the blog. It's actually the employee that would get in touch with Access to Work, but they have grants, so they really help. They'll communicate with the employer. They will, for example, if there's certain equipment they may need, say they've got a really bad back, they actually give the employer a certain amount of money for the chair.
And they're experienced, so they know what they're talking about. So you're not just it's not Pete who may not be specifically experienced in getting someone back into work. These people, that's their job, is to look at ways of getting these individuals back into work. And what the individual considers to be a reasonable adjustment often isn't.
Yes.
So it's very interesting. Suggesting prolonged holidays fully paid in the Bahamas and things. No, we haven't had that. But you need a professional to let you know what a reasonable adjustment is, not the individual.
Right. Okay. Cool. We'll pop a link in the show notes to that blog that you mentioned with the link to Access to Work, because I think that'll be really helpful for people so it's a good signpost if you do want to go for some advice. Please pop your questions in the chat if you've got any for the two Helens. I see Jordan has been in today with a little smiley face, so hi Jordan, thanks for your support. Anything you want to know, please let us know. Okay, so we kind of had a bit of a subheading, which was how to manage absences in your law firm without being a twat, which I prefer this title, really. We should have gone with it originally. So what kind of twattish things do you think law firm owners or people do in these absence situations? Anything you've seen that's particularly funny?
This isn't a funny example, but they'll put it with it, be really supportive for about a month, and then they'll get a call and go, Helen, I want to get rid of this person. Yeah. We're like, whoa.
Yeah. You can't say that and then do that.
You need to
I see.
It goes back to staying in touch with them, not harassing them, as Helen said, having a plan. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, you can't be all nicey, because they love being nicey because it's easy and they can sleep at night. And then wake up and then it's the end of the month and they haven't hit the targets and the bills are down, and then think, right, get rid. You can't do that. It just doesn't work. Yeah. It's not ethical. It's not moral. and it's not productive.
No. And it's frustrating though, right? Because you don't know how long this person's going to be off for. You need somebody else to do the job. You don't know, like, kind of what's going on. Like, I can understand that, but yeah.
And it's really difficult for law firms, obviously, when someone's off, because who manages for a fee and who manages the caseload? And unfortunately, it then passes to other people in the team who already have so much, a huge caseload. And then the impact is other people might then suffer with stress, etc. So it's really difficult to manage, and business owners do get really frustrated, and I totally get that. But there are steps you can take. If it's a short-term absence, return to work, we call them return to work interviews. It's just a chat, but it's always good to have a form. It's about creating that paper trail. So we give our clients a return to work interview form, and they just document, they have a conversation, see how the person is, what they can do to the system on the return, have they been to the GP, etc. So again, it's creating a paper trail and having that document on their file.
And I hate to go back to it, but you will. I will.
Yeah, you will.
These things always come down to money. So if you're very generous and you offer full pay for sick pay, you will most likely see quite a lot of absence. If you pay SSP, I am cynical. But we've got the facts in front of us. Yeah. Those firms that offer SSP only have much reduced absence than those who offer full pay. So going back to the question, what can employers do? If they offer 4 weeks full pay, that person's going to be off for 4 weeks. Yeah. And they might be off for longer because they are genuinely ill, but the employer expects them to be back after 4 weeks because they've been paying them. Well, that's not the employee's responsibility. That's the employer's decision. So really think carefully about what your sick pay provisions are. And then people ask us, well, what's the market? Well, the market for SMEs is SSP. Larger firms, it's not. Really big law firms, it's not. They get occupational sick pay. But for SME law firms, it's SSP. And that is the most effective way of managing absence.
And do you help your clients with setting up their policies and give them advice around this as well?
And giving that advice.
Yeah. And it's so much easier if they're proactive from the start rather than after 6 weeks or however long it is. Because it's changed, they're bringing in SSP from day one. At the moment, there's 3 waiting days. I don't know what impact that'll have because it's not a great deal of money.
It's not going to be a deterrent, and I don't want it to be a deterrent. If someone's ill, they should be looked after. Our concern is those ill people are not being looked after because employers are so busy looking after people who aren't actually ill. So the SSP being paid from day one, I don't think it's going to make a huge amount of difference to the rates of absence. It's just going to cost the taxpayer more money.
We'll sometimes get asked, can you sack someone when they're off sick?
Oh, good question.
It's probably one of the most risky areas. So, of course, you've got the policy about capability, they're not capable of doing the job, etc. But it's such a long process and it is risky. And I'm trying to think, I can't think of any time that
we've been able to do it. So we've got a couple of cases at the moment with long, prolonged sick. And they're never coming back into work, but they're hanging on in there. And honestly, when it gets to the point, it does depend on the clients, and these aren't law firms actually that we're talking about. You should start considering settlements, but they're not expensive settlements. That we're not talking months and months and months. We're probably only talking notice plus a couple of weeks. It would be difficult to terminate employment whilst, depending on what the circumstances are, obviously. We're not risk averse at all, but even we would look at alternatives to that.
Okay, interesting. And just quickly going back to your point about contacting employees while they're absent, what are the actual rules around that? Like how often you can contact? Obviously, you've said don't give them a load of case files and expect them to get on with it while they're off.
Don't give them any work.
No work. And then how often?
Well, our policy states that they should expect to be kept in reasonable contact with the business. It's stated in the policy. With the
employee. There's a reasonable word again.
Okay, so yes, exactly. But I'll get to that. But what that means is we will be contacting you. Reasonable, it depends what their role is and what they've left behind and what's wrong with them. I would say at least weekly, just to check in. That would be reasonable.
Depend on how long the absence is. If it's goes on for 6 months, you don't want to be contacting them
No. But if it's a fee earner whose fit note is given, fee earner and the fit note to sign them off for a month, certainly weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just go as well? Sorry, this is a really big bugbear of ours. Please don't use WhatsApp.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Ooh, yes.
Causes so many problems. So actually, you asked the question earlier about where law firms go wrong, and it's using WhatsApp because they see it as like a friendly, just messaging. Oh, no, she's fine. She's just said it. We can contact on WhatsApp, blah, blah. But actually, what that person will do, we always think worst case scenario, if it went to a tribunal, they will be the first to print out all those WhatsApp messages. Look what's happened. Whereas the business owner, the practice manager, whoever, will just think of having a nice, chat on WhatsApp. Please don't use WhatsApp. So in our absence policy and in our contracts that we give to clients, it does specify contact must be via the telephone. Obviously, you might want to follow certain things up with email, but just not WhatsApp.
Not WhatsApp.
Please, not WhatsApp.
And really not text messages. No text messages, no WhatsApp. It
causes so many problems.
WhatsApp is not appropriate for the work environment.
No, I can imagine. And it throws up all those kind of things about when they were last seen online, and then you might get your knickers in a twist because they're not responding to you and that whole thing.
No, you can take that off, though. You don't have to.
You can take that off, if you want to be one of those suspicious people. Yes, you definitely can. Maybe we should, when I do the clips for this video, maybe it should be like why you should not use WhatsApp to get in touch with you.
We could give case studies on that. Employees coming into court with bundles of WhatsApp messages that the employer was like, what are you doing? And of course it's all there.
We have to be careful when we're giving examples. We have to kind of change the names, pretending it was like last week and it was actually a year ago. It's like, so when we put it on LinkedIn, it's literally will have happened like 5 years ago, or we've changed the name to John and she was called Penelope or something. It's really hard.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I think that's a good boundary. Like personally, I actually have a bugbear about WhatsApp as well for business stuff. Like I really don't like it. So when I first started working with my VA and she was WhatsApping me, and I was like, okay, no, we're not going to do this. Actually, we're going to use Slack because like it's on my PC and it's on my laptop, and I don't want to be having WhatsApps. Like that's once I've clocked off for the evening, if it's after like 5 or 6 o'clock, I don't want to be receiving messages from you on WhatsApp.
And voice notes as well.
My voice note. Don't get me started on a voice note.
Just so you know, I don't listen to them. So if
I don't listen to the voice note. Well, I don't listen to the voice note.
In fact, voicemail is what we both have. It it says please don't leave the voicemail.
We don't take our voicemail,
but we are contactable.
So Helen, going back to WhatsApp, we've been working 8 years now, and I think the number of WhatsApp messages that Helen and I have sent each other in 8 years is probably about 8, and none of them are work related.
We're very clear like that, aren't we?
Yeah, we both are weirdly on WhatsApp. Yeah, it's a mutual thing. But no.
Okay. So how do you communicate?
She's here all the time.
Email.
She doesn't.
Right, yeah.
She's had
you just can't go away from each other.
Do you know what I had to do? This is what it's like working with Helen. I was 5 minutes early for this meeting. I sat on the bike outside waiting until it was time to come in.
But then she claims she's busy, but not too busy to sit on a bike for 5 minutes doing absolutely nothing.
I just like to be early. I was actually on LinkedIn on my bike. It's very uncomfortable to sit on my bike.
Sorry. I might go off sick in a minute.
Sophia, stressing the work.
All my advice would be out the window.
That's
literally looking on your door.
Can you imagine if one of you was off sick? Oh gosh, that would be an interesting one, wouldn't it?
I never get sick either. Never happened, have we? Even in previous jobs, we're not sick. I know.
Jeez.
No, I don't mean really sick.
It's great to work from your bed. I'm just warning you.
Yeah, exactly that. Okay.
Sorry,
we digress.
So are there any like current challenges that you're seeing amongst law firms at the moment regarding HR? What else is going on?
HR
other than absence?
Other than absence, yeah.
It's not
really
anything
else?
It's
well, a lot of people are asking for unreasonable pay increases.
Okay.
Now, more so than ever. Obviously, that's been a historical thing, but often, certainly in medium-sized law firms, the requests have been reasonable, and they've often been able to put a business case, and there's somewhere working around it. But obviously, people have been on a pay freeze now for years, and if they're lucky, they've been getting inflation, so 2-3%. At the moment, people are coming in asking for 20% and promotions, and there's a lot of challenge around that. And then again, the employers are being made to feel guilty about it. I'm like, no. You own business. You're allowed to say no to this. And of course, they don't want to do that because they leave. And recruitment is shocking at the moment.
Yeah.
So SME law firms are really struggling to get people, in our experience, the right people at the right level. But as long as people keep hold of these employees, nothing's going to change.
And another thing that I was just flicking through my emails to see what had come in, and again, it's all absence apart from every order's been delivered. I was just looking through quickly.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Also, GP is smaller business or bigger businesses, acquiring smaller businesses. So we've also got redundancies, sadly. In fact, that started to, our queries have started to increase again with redundancies, sadly. So that's a big thing.
That's a big one. That's certainly growing, isn't it, at the moment?
It is, honestly, about 60% of our queries every day are absence at the moment. Yeah. And the most frustrating thing, it's slightly off piece, but it is on the topic of absence still, is that if a business owner has decided to go down a disciplinary process and is inviting an employee to a disciplinary, unfortunately, a lot of employees, despite having never raised anything before, as soon as they get that letter, allege, sometimes it might be true, sometimes not, that they've got mental health issues. And then they go off sick, which is really challenging for employees as to how to deal with that. That's another topic.
I mean, you should deal with them in parallel. Do not mix them together.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They've never informed you of this mental health issue until they get a letter inviting them to disciplinary. Well, tribunals see through that, I'm afraid, but whatever. So you deal with the mental health issue this way and the disciplinary on that way, because you can, or certainly in accordance with our policy, you can carry on with the disciplinary once you've rearranged a couple of times and been reasonable. You can continue with the disciplinary in their absence.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think as soon as an employer hears the words, "I'm struggling with my mental health," do you think they there's that kind of tightening of the chest? Is there like a real panic? They just don't know how to deal with it. That's the worst kind of scenario for them.
Yeah, but then they phone us and we sort it out.
But I do think we're all more used to it now. I mean, 5 years ago, but people didn't want to mention it. Now they're not embarrassed to mention it as much. So I do think employees are more aware of what they should do and are really supportive, actually.
Really supportive. So they panic because they think they're going to get sued, so they'll become defensive, when actually they don't need to do any of that. They can just be very supportive, and lo and behold, the employee usually comes back to work and everything's fine. You just have to go through a process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just the people that take the piss, I suppose, that is the other problem.
And I keep going back to it. They're the ones that are taking up all their time, all the employers' time, which is really frustrating.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
And quite a few.
They really are. And we feel, and it's obviously never the ones who are genuinely ill who take the piss, and they're not the ones being looked after.
No, exactly. Yeah, I feel like this is a whole conversation for another time.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you would like to tell our audience in terms of absence management, HR, how to manage your law firm and staff, anything like that? Any tips?
Just the starting point is, and we don't like policies, but obviously we have to like them in one way because they're so important. So when we take a new client on, the first thing we will do is audit their template contract of employment and audit their staff handbook if they have one. Quite often they haven't. They're not fit for purpose. It's really important. If you're ever going to deal with issues, you need to at least be able to say, hold on, according to contract of employment, according to this policy, this is how we're going to deal with it. It's fairer, and it's more consistent. So they're really basic things, but so many law firms, which is always a surprise, don't have policies that are fit for purpose. They're out of date. I can't even remember ever.
They don't know where they are. They've never read them themselves.
I can't honestly remember seeing a law firm's contractual policies that are fit for purpose, which is surprising.
Yeah.
I think law firms, but obviously they're not employment lawyers or HR experts. So start with the basics and just remember you can deal with absence. You don't just have to accept it and that's it.
Yeah, you can
create a paper trail. That is key. Create a paper trail because that's your evidence needed. We always think worst case scenario.
Yes, to get your processes in place, basic ones, and also have an awareness of your processes as well. So it's not just a case of, oh shit, this is happening. Oh, what do I do? What do I do? Sure, we've got a policy somewhere, and then like it's all kind of hanging in the air. And yeah, I see. Makes sense. Yeah, makes complete sense. Lovely. Oh, do you know what? I thought I'd have a little bit of trouble with you two today, and turns out I haven't at all.
I'm so sure.
Well, no, we're actually in our good behaviour because I don't know who's on this call. So
Right, yeah. And you don't know. There's no way of knowing.
What's going on LinkedIn? I don't know what's happening there. So I'm
anything could be going on.
She's really behaving. It's great.
I know.
Yeah, I hope you're enjoying this, Helen.
I know, it's wonderful. I'm going to bring her on more often. It's super.
Should we do this every week?
I was slightly concerned because when I sat down, her tummy started to rumble. Yeah. That's never a good sign.
Oh, no.
But then I did immediately say, no, we're basically in your house. There's no way you want to be her, which was...
And I did one where I've not been hungry since 1982. So it's not lovely because of that.
Oh, incredible. You sound like me with my husband. If we're leaving the house and there's a slight mention of the fact he's a bit peckish, I went, oh God, all right, okay, let's get snacks. Make sure that you're going to be suitably fed if we're going to leave the house.
Always have a banana in the bag just in case you get...
Nobody will have a nice time if there's hunger on the table. No. Oh, this has been an absolute delight. Thank you, ladies. I have got a little gap next week because I'm running these every other week now, because every week was a lot. It was a lot, to be fair. So every other week is what I'm doing now. So I have got Robert Hannah on, which is the week after next, which let me tell you is, I don't even know what day it is, the 2nd of October. Another legal podcaster, incidentally. So I'm going to be talking about his journey, which will be really fascinating. I met him at the Great Big Legal Offsite a few months ago, and he's an absolute treasure. So very much looking forward to that one. Any final words, ladies?
No, just obviously we do specialise in law firms, smaller law firms, and we offer retained and ad hoc services. You'll always get to speak to one of us. We're not a big HR consultancy. Yeah, phone me, not the other Helen. I'll answer my phone more often. And we offer monthly retainers, and we don't tie people into a lengthy contract like unnamed large HR consultancies. So yeah, get in touch if you've got any questions on absence management or any other HR issues.
Perfect. We will drop all your details in the show notes so people can get in touch with you. Thank you so much for coming on today.
No problem.
We'll catch you next time.